Hey there cats, good time of the day to you and thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I'm playing a little game named Sunrise GP and this is actually a development build. I believe the game is not even on Steam yet, at least I haven't found it and the site of the game haven't mentioned it as well. So I guess this is a very raw build that ain't going nowhere and I usually do not do such things. I do not like raw pre-development builds, but in this case I'm gonna make an exception because this is a game that is made by the developer of the game I very liked, and the name of that previous game of his is Electro Ride. And well, without further ado, let's get to it. So what can I say? Let's start with the previous game I've mentioned, Electro Ride. I actually wanted to make a video about this game for a long time already, but you know, there are complications. In fact, I own this game on Steam, but at the same time I do not want to make a video about the game which I cannot launch without Steam, and there are some troubles with Electro Ride and nobody actually hacked the latest version of that game properly, and I do not have time to make it myself. I'm not even sure if I'm able to. I'm not that good, I think, though I guess I have my chances. Still, I don't have time, and the developer of the game, Sylvester Osick, unfortunately do not have the time to remove those dependations that tie the game to the Steam rather tightly as well. So far Electro Ride is in one of my we'll do it one day kind of projects that just lie around, but if you do not hold those reservations against Steam that I have, actually do check out Electro Ride first, because boy, Electro Ride is very good. I don't know, the universe, you know, how to say it, not the graphics, but you know, the visuals itself, the art of it is just stunningly beautiful. I've liked Electro Ride a lot. I've played basically all those modern indie games. As you can see, I have a video, as you probably could see, I don't know, as you probably noticed, something like that. You know, I have a video from that Hotshot Racing game on my channel. I definitely will try that game, which is kinda, you know, the closest to Hotshot Racing. I forgot its name right now, but I will play it one day, definitely. I've also tried millions of other games, and, well, not millions, right? Yeah, that was a little exaggeration, but you know, at least a dozen of other games I tried, and most of them were either very short or so-so. I've tried, for example, Slipstream, and I didn't like it. And, well, as for Sylvester Osick's game Electro Ride, I've liked it. I've liked it and I've liked it a lot, and that's one point. And the second point is that Sylvester Osick is a developer from Poland, and his games, they feature a huge selection of cars from that era, you know, from the era of Soviet Union, where, you know, where Poland and other countries of Eastern Bloc actually made each own cars, and well, most of them make them to this day, but you know, the era back in the days, the cars actually had character. The cars actually was beautiful. This here on the screen is actually a Fiat, which a Polski Fiat, which Sosik himself owns in real life, and I myself is a proud owner of Gas-24, so we know what we talk about. And boy, such cars are very rare guests on the screen. Such cars are rare, and well, I will get onto it a bit later. Right now I want to notice that this game actually has customization, unlike Electro Ride. It is not rich so far, but it works. And the ability to personalize your car, even if a little bit, is very important in a racing game, I think. I mean, Hotshot Racing, as I've already noticed back in the video which is dedicated to that game, only has so much parts, about 3-4 parts per car, but it is just enough to individualize your car and make it look special. Like, of course it is cooler when Midnight Club 3 had like about 10 parts per car, but at the same time Midnight Club LA only had 3 parts and it was amazing game and the personalization was over the top. So yeah, Sunrise GP is one of those games which do not have much parts, at least for now. This might change, the game is still very in development, but so at the same time it is more than enough to make your car personal, make it, you know, special for you, and it feels great. Electro Ride lack customization, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel that customization is very important. So Sunrise GP is already a step above Electro Ride in this very area. So yeah, back to the question that these games, Electro Ride and Sunrise GP, are actually based around the cars on Eastern Bloc. This is another kind of a game which I've searched for a very, very long time. I've played all those very questionable games from Russia and Poland and other countries like Need for Russia, Soviet Muscle Cars, something. Honestly, most of them were just quite awful, but you know, despite that, I've just had to play them. I'm sorry, I just turned off the development console. So, I had to play them because there was simply nothing else out there. Like, some games were beautiful just as long as you've stayed in the garage and didn't actually came onto track. It was just an eye candy of a game, you know, those kinds of games are out there. I'm not sure. Oh, the AI is not finished, still not finished. Yeah, I can see it plainly. So yeah, those kinds of the game, they exist, and they're still out there. You can actually find them and play them. Games that are made by Sosic are not that kind of a game, and I guess they're one of a kind so far. I haven't found any other game which features cars from the Eastern Bloc that is the game that is actually pleasant to play, the racing game that is actually pleasant to play. I guess it's unique, and I guess it's time to actually describe why it is pleasant to play. Well, first of all, right now I can see that the physics in Sunrise GP are quite solid. I can't say they're difficult anyhow, they're very simple, they're very arcadey to control, but they're quite solid, and this is something which may actually tell you for sure that this is, oops, only left exhaust works so far, I believe, but alright, this will be fixed at one point. The game is very, very raw, and it is kinda amazing I've got such an early development build. This is something. So yeah, back on topic. As I've said, physics are feeling solid, and this is something that may tell you that this is actually the second game. At least if you've played Electro Ride in its early builds. Ooh, the physics there were crazy, man. I mean, when you took a car like this, I believe it was probably somebody call it realistic, but once you took it to like 150 kilometers per hour and above, it was scary to drive that vehicle because it was like out of control. A slight turn of the wheel, out you go. It was impossible to play Electro Ride without a gamepad. You had to control car very, very precisely. But here in Sunrise GP I'm playing with my keyboard, and it is actually very, very pleasant. It is a nice road trip, and this is kind of what this game tries to be. While Electro Ride emphasized the feeling of the cyberpunk and alternative retrofuturism, Sunrise GP is actually a game about road trips, which tries to take you to that era where people actually were, you know, motorists, and where the long ride from point A to point B was something, you know, something special. You know, back in the days, like when gas stations were not restaurants and cafes, but more like, you know, full-fledged garages with all kinds of parts for your car, where you could like stop and refill your oil, refill your gas, change your tires, probably even fix your engine a bit, a lot of stuff, you know, motor era. I don't know, 60s or 70s, it was like golden era of motorists. You may have heard something about it. And this is the time that this game tries to take you to. And so far it is good. It doesn't even feel like a race, because as far as I've understood, the difficulty here and the AI is still, you know, in development. So far this is a pleasant ride, and thing is, it is a very catchy pleasant ride. In fact, I'm playing right now and I feel like I'm kinda ready to play into everything this game has to offer. Every track, every car, unfinished or not, I'm ready to drive. And the unusual, or maybe kinda, you know, not so unusual still, but the only game I can compare it to right now in my head, out right from the top of my head, is Ridge Racer 2 as on PSP, Ridge Racer 2 on PSP. Because this is the only other game which in my head I've called a pleasant ride. And you know what? Sunrise GP kinda wins. I don't know, maybe it was because from Ridge Racer, maybe it was a part of franchise, but I've expected a challenge and I've expected something more. Well, maybe the physics were too arcade, you know, with all those aggressive drifts and stuff. I didn't expect the game to be a pleasant ride, and I was somewhat unpleasantly surprised by it. Here, I await nothing, and the physics kinda tune you into the drive, and all those visuals, you know. It is not Electro Ride, but it is still beautiful, and the game catches me. At least it works for me. I feel like it's awesome. And on the terms of difficulty, well, as far as I can see so far, the difficulty was conceived with this very first car, Maloof, in mind. And this is the only car which doesn't leave its position, you know, far behind. But I'm sure it will be fixed. Once again, back in Electro Ride, it had 3 difficulties as far as I remember: easy, medium and hard. And hard was very challenging. If you want yourself a race, Electro Ride can provide you a very hard race and a really good test for your abilities. I'm pretty sure Sunrise GP will not miss an opportunity on that as well. Overall, what can I say? The track feels alive. Once again, the comparison is with Ridge Racer. A lot of arcade racing games actually miss that small touch, that objects behind the track. This huge plane, for example, it moves. On first lap, if you could notice, it was far away, well, somewhat far away from the harbor, and now it comes to port. It's very close now, and on the third lap it will come further into port. So the object behind the track, they move, it creates the, you know, that feeling that the world outside the track is alive, that something happens beyond the race. And in some more, you know, racing-oriented racing games, it may be not so important, but in arcade race, this is something that really adds to the feeling of the track. Albeit I feel that the more racing-oriented games, the simulators, can use this thing as well, and they do not use it for some reason. I don't know why. Every time I see something like that, I just go, wow, this works. This works every time, every day. And well, what can I say? I guess there's not much else to say about racing game in general. I mean, physics are solid. The cars are there and they are interesting, and the, you know, the lineup is unusual. The customization is here. What else can I give to you? It's a solid racing game. And as I've said, there are bonuses, as I've said. You see this play move? It looks good. Unusual, good, interesting, I don't know. Oops, that was a hard one. Ooh! Just look at the AI, they've slowed down really hard. Yeah, the catch-up is here, and it is here in all its glory. They didn't even try to overtake me. But as I've said, this will most likely be fixed. As far as I remember, the hard difficulty in Electro Ride just removes the catch-up altogether and you're on your own, which makes the game really hard. So yeah, here it is, the development build, but as I've said, I'm already quite onto it. I'm ready to get into everything this game has to offer. I will not do it only because I rarely prefer to complete the same game twice. Partially because I'm from the time where the games still came into the shops on CDs and they were complete, pretty much completely complete at the time they were out in the shop. And I still haven't got used to this constant stream of small updates. And partially because I simply do not have time to try the same game over and over and over again. So yeah, I prefer to wait until the game is in its final condition, to play it from the start to finish and be done with it like a good book. By the way, this last race I ran is not in the Grand Prix career mode but in the quick race mode, and in that menu I found out that the difficulty settings already exist. But as you can see, catch-up is still really cheaty and unnatural, and the hard is not that hard. Yeah, the opponents, they stay on your tail, but overall not that hard. Yeah, but I guess this will be fixed. I mean, drafting is non-existent so far, among other things. Yeah, it's a raw build, but still. Sunrise GP, watch out for it, it will be here soon enough. And in the meantime, probably check out Electro Ride. So, thanks for being with me, cats. Stay tuned for more. Good luck.